If you're one of my subscribers, you have already seen videos from my 74 C3 Corvette, my automatic transmission TH400, which was not original to this car because it's an older model from a 60s Buick or Oldsmobile. Has been giving me a lot of problems with leakage, and the last thing I did, and I need to get a light so you can see it better. So the last thing I replaced was it's a through the case connector for the kick down for passing gear, and it's right up there, has that green wire attached to it. If you look real close, you can see that there is fluid pooled around the bottom of that. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. So replacing it with a brand new piece didn't fix it. Now, one of the things I'm wondering, and I was trying to feel around where the pin goes through that nylon piece. It seemed as though maybe there was some fluid there, but now I'm looking at this, and let me turn my light on the camera. Looking at that, and man, it looks like there's some blue there, which I didn't put it there. I'm going to have to get a Q-tip and clean that out a little bit. I'm going to try to see if I get any fluid residue from right around where that connector goes through the nylon, because if that's what's leaking, maybe I'll try to just put some RTV on the outside. It's not leaking that bad, because it took several months since I've been kind of laid up with having 2 hip replacements, so I haven't been doing any work on the cars. So I'll see if I can determine where exactly that's coming from and decide how I'm going to proceed from there. Okay, I have propped up my endoscope, and I'm focusing the camera on the screen to that, and I can see it. I'm going to try to get in here with the camera. It doesn't look like there's anything leaking out between the edges of the piece that goes through the nylon piece that's inserted into the transmission case. But what I do see here that's kind of funny, and I don't recall, I didn't put any RTV in it. I just put the O-ring on and I shoved it in there. And I'm seeing a lot of blue here, as if there is some remnants of blue RTV that maybe I didn't clean out the last time I removed it. It shouldn't take any RTV, but I was going to try to see if I could get away without draining this pan again. But it looks like, and I need to, well, if I can get to I can't get to the buttons. That's actually, that electrical connector should be vertical. This part here is on the bottom. Obviously that's where the fluid is pooling. So I think I need to pull that out and make sure that that's all clean. And then I have to make a decision on whether I put it in without any RTV and hope that that fixes it. If I know that that bore is clean. I didn't have this scope, I don't think, when I did that, so maybe I can get a good look inside there to make sure it's clean. But trying to rotate this, but I don't know if I can touch the button. Oh well, you'll just have to take my word for it. So I guess I am going to drain the transmission. I'm not going to video that because the other video I have on replacing this thing, and you know, any number of videos probably tell you how to drain the pan. So I am just going to drain the pan. We'll pop that thing out and see what we got. So I'm showing you the controls for the endoscope, and you can only rotate the picture 180 degrees, so reaching that button wouldn't have done me any good. It would just put it on the opposite side. I have drained the transmission pan. I do have a drain plug, which is a good thing because this otherwise would really be a mess. I have taken off all the bolts and loosened the two on the front end. They're still in, but they allow this to tip, and whenever it tipped, it drained some more when I actually pulled down on it a little bit. So it's not empty whenever you have the transmission in the car, because the transmission actually sits a little bit forward, or tilted forward in the car, and the drain plug is in the back. So that's one of the things you have to account for. Where I have the camera set up, if I zoom in, you're going to see the inside connector. Oops. That. It is focusing on the pan, not the inside of the connector. There you go. That's close enough. There's the brown wire is the connector that goes to the solenoid inside the transmission that activates passing gear when you kick it down. I am going to replace the plug in the pan, take those two bolts out. It's going to drip a bit. I'll have to take out the transmission filter, which is how I found out that this is not a transmission from a 74 Corvette, because it's a different style of filter than the 74 Corvette had. So let's see how if I can handle the, I use my little nut driver. Take one out there. Let's set that one aside. So I'm going to have my hands full when I take the last one out. I don't know how I'm going to handle this. Okay, that's off. I'm going to try to set this down so that I don't drop my nut driver, and just lower the pan right to where it'll catch most of the drips. Okay. Oops, I don't want that sliding off. Back this up a little bit to catch some more of the drips. that actually went fairly well for, let's see what we're showing here. Okay, I'm going to pull the filter out. I'm probably going to end up putting this pan back up for the night so that everything that keeps dripping will just go into the pan. And then when I get back to it, I'll have to see if I can empty this filter out now into the pan. Okay, I think I left a O-ring up in the transmission that I want to put on here when I reinstall it. So I'm going to set this aside. Search for the O-ring. Again, this is not a stock 74 Corvette transmission, so there's the O-ring. And the next step will be to try and pop the connector, screw the case connector out of the transmission. Last time I did it, I wasn't able to get it on video. And let's zoom in a little bit better on that. I'm gonna try to get it on video this time, but it might be one of those situations where you can't get it out unless you get in the way of the camera. So the last time, I did it with a 5/8 inch wrench, and there's a couple of tabs on it that you have to depress. Oops, before I do that, so that I can get the wrench on, I need to disconnect the wire. Get it out of the way. There you go. Gonna try to pull on it with pliers from the pin that's on the outside of the transmission and try and depress the tabs that are in there. You can only see one of them, but there's three. And you just get that wrench on them far enough to depress them. It's probably one of those situations where I just have to get in the way of the camera to get the leverage I need. I think I've got the 3 pins depressed. I did. So there you have it. And I'm gonna have to zoom out. This piece, if that was in there, could have been the problem. But as you can see, there's no blue, and the O-ring is well inside of this. So I'm gonna have to reach up in there and see what's in there. And as I went to clean it up, I don't know for sure, but as I look at this, seems to be some reddishness inside there. Maybe it is leaking through that. If it is, then maybe what I need to do is put some RTV just around the base on both the inside and the outside, just in case, and let it dry overnight before I install the thing back into the transmission. So, because I will have to clean this off and dry it and make sure that the RTV sticks. In the meantime, though, what I want to do is reach up into that hole, bore through the transmission case, and see what might be in there. And that. Oh, what was that? Okay. That is far from clean. I can actually see it a little bit. That's, I guess, my bad for not catching that when I replaced the thing. I didn't expect that kind of a mess in there. I'll shut the camera off and move it so you can actually see part of the bore. Okay, this is from well outside the car, but I'm going to zoom in, and you should be able to see the bore. It's right above the exhaust pipe there. I need to aim it up a little bit. As you can see, that is anything but clean, and looks like there's been blue RTV put in there, which maybe isn't a bad idea, but whenever you replace it, it needs to be cleaned out. So that's what I'm going to be doing, is trying to get all that clean so that when I put it in, that the O-ring actually makes a good seal. And then I have to decide whether or not I want to put some RTV in there to make sure I don't have a leak. So I'll be creating a mess for the next person. So here is the RTV I dug out of that hole. 3 good-sized pieces, and probably some smaller pieces that I didn't recover. I don't know how good a job I can do of getting that to seal with just the O-ring alone, and I may have to clean this up later. I am going to try to put some RTV. There's a little ridge right here that keeps it from going all the way into the transmission case. I'm going to try to put little bit of RTV around that. Not where the O-ring is, and the O-ring will at least stop most of the fluid from getting by, and hopefully the RTV at the edge will stop anything that gets by it. So I'm doing this with the knowledge that if it doesn't work, it's going to be another cleanup job like it was on that, which probably took me half hour, 45 minutes. But that's going to be the plan. What I now ran into the tack. What I will put on video is putting the filter back up, and it's just a matter of pressing that O-ring into place, and it's not a very complicated operation. That once you find out where it goes, which is pretty far towards the front of the transmission. There it goes. Pops up in there. Once it pops up, it's good. So all I'll do now, I have a reusable pan gasket. I'll just clean off the fluid that's on the gasket and the pan and the case, and then put it up, bolt it in place, fill it with transmission fluid, and we're done. Thanks for watching.